If you were at our face-to-face group meeting, I don't know if it was last week or this week, whenever it was, we actually did ratios and proportions together. So hopefully this will be pretty simple for you. So remember, there's technically, well, before I get there, there are two things here that look just like fractions, right? So here's the thing. We have these vocabulary words that we need to be reminded of. Number one, a ratio. A ratio is just a comparison of two things. I can write ratios in three different fashions, but when we're going to be working with them, we need to put them in fraction form. But not every two fractions connected by an equal sign are proportions. Every fraction is technically a ratio because they're comparing two things, but not every two fractions connected by an equal sign is a proportion. First of all, an equal sign means the left side value is equal to the right side value. So this first one, 6 times 2 is 12. And the rule with fractions, remember, whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. 20 times 2 is not 26. This is not a proportion. And the reality is, it's just not even a true statement. And you will rarely be asked to identify which one is a proportion and which is not a proportion. Just remember, they have to be equal in value. 5 to 15 is times 3. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 to 9 is 3 times 3. They have the same, what's called a scale factor, so therefore this is a proportion because they are equal in value. While you won't be asked like to identify which is which very often, you will very often in a lot of ways be asked to solve ratios and proportions. And the reality is this is a concept that is used over and over and over in a whole lot of different types of math later on. So what we're supposed to do, there are two ways. You can either find a scale factor, which is easy when the numbers have a whole number scale factor. So a scale factor is the number you multiply to get from point A to point B. So how do I get from 8 to 16? 8 times 2. And whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 4 times 2 is 8. So in this case, x equals 8. This is called a scale factor. Okay? Scale factors are great when they're simple problems. But then you get down here to a problem like this. And I don't know a factor off the top of my head to get from 3 to 5, which means a scale factor is not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to use what's called cross multiplication. I'm going to work it out and show you the mathematical thing that we're going to do, and then I'm going to tell you the shortcut. So in cross multiplication, we're going to make, some people call it the butterfly method, circle across. Now, this is only to solve proportions. If there's no equal sign, if you're multiplying, at this point you still multiply regularly. Cross multiplication is only used if there's an equal sign. So I'm going to do top times bottom equals bottom times top. I'm going to run into space. 7 times 5 is 35. I'm going to need to move that 3 over and divide, and I'm going to leave it as 35 over 3. If it can reduce it. Don't put it in a decimal form, leave it as a fraction for right now. So this is my answer. So here's the thing. There's a quicker way to do this. Okay, let me clean all this up and kind of show you. I'll do this in green. We're still going to circle it. And we're really doing all of this work, but just in a quicker fashion, okay, and with less thinking. When we circle this like a butterfly, we're going to have two things circled, right? Two pairs. One pair is going to have two numbers. One pair is going to have one number and one variable. So the way that I do this in a kind of quicker way is I multiply the pair, 7 times 5, which is 35, divide by the single. Multiply the pair, divide by the single. If it multiplies fully, multiply it. I'm sorry, if it divides out fully, like if I had 12 over 3, that would be 4. So you can take the time to cross multiply it, or you can multiply the pair, divide by the single. So let's work these real quick. We're going to circle. We're going to multiply the pair, so 6 times 26 is 156. Divide by the single, which is 4. And I know that this can reduce at least because they're both even. In this case, when I type this in my calculator, 156, and I'm going to use the ABC key, so my answer is in fraction form. This one simplifies down all the way to 39. That's my answer. Okay, let's try this one. Let's butterfly it. Oops, that's terrible. It's okay. Multiply the pair, 4 times 8, which is 32. Divide by the single, which is 34. I'm going to use my ABC key to give me my fully reduced fraction. If I use my division key, it's going to give me a decimal. So mine is my ABC key. Use your fraction key, not division, and it will spit out my fully reduced fraction. So that's it. Multiply the pair, divide by the single. You guys have an online assignment. It should be linked in the same place you got to this video. It's going to be solving proportions like this, except the program that I use, I can't type a real fraction, so I have to use the slash. So what this means is this, okay? So just when you're working these out, it might be easier to work these on notebook paper and to be able to spread them out like that. All right, let me know if you have any questions.